I booked the cabin for a quiet November weekend in upstate New York with my girlfriend, Alyssa. The listing made it look rustic and clean wood stove, tiny porch, trees all around. The host's name was Greg. He had the kind of profile picture you'd expect for a smile lines around his eyes, a little gray in his beard. His reviews called him attentive. It was already dark when we pulled into the gravel driveway. The trees moved like a slow crowd in the wind. The door had a keypad lock. After the code clicked open, the place smelled like pine cleaner and old wood. The wood stove was cold, a stack of split logs piled next to it. Above the bed, I noticed a smoke detector. Right next to it, maybe 2 feet away, was another one. "That's weird," Elisa said, dropping her bag on the quilt. "Too overkill." "Maybe because of the stove," I said. We laughed about it for a second and unpacked. The cabin was one room with a small bathroom. The night outside felt like a dark ocean. The only sound was the wind and, every so often, the crack of a branch on the roof. Greg messaged me on the app around 9 p.m. "You guys in? Okay? Everything comfortable?" I sent a quick "all good, thanks." He replied a minute later. "Sleep well. Let me know if the bed feels too firm." It felt odd that he singled out the bed, but I didn't think much of it. We were both tired. Around midnight, the fire had gone down to a slow drift of orange and black. I switched off the lamp. The dark in that cabin was heavy. That's when I heard a faint click, like a tiny mechanical blink, from above the bed. I froze. Alyssa whispered, "What was that?" I waited. The wind brushed the cabin. The fridge hummed a long, quiet note. There it was, again click soft. And quick, I sat up and let my eyes adjust. The outline of the 2 smoke detectors was just a pair of dim discs on the ceiling, one above the other like a figure 8. And then I saw it. The smallest green flag. It showed for half a second on one of the detectors, like something checking in. I got up and flicked the light back on. Both smoke detectors looked normal. White plastic, no brand names, tiny grills. The second one had a pinhole that wasn't on the first, maybe the size of a grain of rice. It felt like it was pointing at the bed. I told myself it was some different model, some air sensor. "Babe, come on," Elisa said. "You're making me paranoid." I killed the light and got back into bed. My eyes stayed open. My heart made a hollow sound in my chest every time I imagined that green dot. Eventually I passed out. In the morning, Greg messaged again. "How'd you sleep? Bed okay?" I typed fine, and left out that I'd only slept a couple hours. We made coffee. The cabin had a heavy-looking USB charger already plugged into the outlet by the bed. My phone was at 20%, so I used it. When I picked the charger up, it felt wrong in my hand. Heavier than it should be, and on the front, where a brand logo would be, there was a tiny dark square the size of a fingernail. It was angled straight at the pillows. Primera Star read at it, and that sick feeling hit like a drop on a roller coaster. I unplugged it slowly. On the bottom was a little slot. No name, no voltage info. My throat was dry. I could feel Elisa watching me. "Why?" she asked. I showed her. Her face changed. The quiet in the room got colder. I climbed onto a chair and took a closer look at the second smoke detector. That pinhole really did look like a lens. The plastic around it had the faintest ring scuff, like fingers had twisted it on and off. The hair on my neck stood up. I didn't want to say it out loud, but I did. "I think there's a camera." Alyssa stepped back from the bed like the mattress was hot. "What do we do? Covereth? Then we go." My hands were shaking a little. I grabbed a piece of tape from the junk drawer and a sticky note. As I reached up, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Greg. "Hey there. Please don't tamper with the safety equipment. Big no. It. Alerts." My stomach flipped. He knew. He knew the second I touched it. I dropped my arm and looked around the room like the walls were fake. I pictured him watching us on a screen. I pictured a red folder with our names on it. I replied, "We're leaving." That was all. My hands were clumsy with the keys. Alyssa shoved stuff into bags. I kept looking at that charger in my pocket. That tiny black square. I put it in my jacket. When we stepped out onto the porch, there was a white pickup idling just off the driveway, facing the cabin. The driver's window was open. I couldn't see their face. When Primera looked, the truck angled wider, like it was giving us room to back out. I felt the weight of someone's eyes, even from a distance. My mouth tasted like a penny. We drove to a diner about 20 minutes away and parked under the bright mid-morning sun, next to a family eating pancakes behind the glass. We called Airbnb and the non-emergency police line. I used calm words because I didn't want to break. We think the host has cameras in the bedroom. They told us to go back to the cabin with a deputy. I said no. I said, you can go without me. Airbnb moved us to a hotel. A deputy called me later and said they'd found devices. He didn't go into detail, but he said there were multiple covert cameras. Some with micro SD cards, some that likely streamed. He asked for the charger I took. I told him I'd turn it in. He also said, you're not the first to call about this guy. That sentence made my skin crawl. How many nights had he watched people sleep? We went home. We tried to forget. For a week, I woke up at 3 a.m. Like my body had decided it was safer. I put tape over every indicator light in our apartment Wi-Fi, router, TV, the baby monitor that we don't even own. I checked the smoke detector and felt stupid as I did it. There's a type of silence after something like that that feels like you swallowed a stone. About a month later, I got a small padded envelope in our mailbox with no return address. Inside was a flash drive. I should have handed it to the police unopened. Primera Sociable. I plugged it in anyway. There was one file. The title was The Booking Dates. When I double-clicked it, the screen stayed black for a few seconds, then brightened. The angle was from high above the bed. The picture was clear, too clear. You could see me and Alyssa in the dark, shapes breathing under blankets, the faint glow of the wood stove embers. At one point, my hand reached out in my sleep. My arm brushed her back. The video played for 6 minutes. Near the end, a green flicker status. Light blinked in the corner. And then the last image froze on us. The timestamp stopped, and the file closed on its own. I mailed the drive to the detective. I didn't hear back. The listing disappeared a week later. And another one appeared on the same road with a different host and the same quilt in the pictures. 2 nights after that, I woke to a buzz. A text from an unknown number. No words, just a single image of that same bed from that same angle and a new timestamp current time, like the camera was still somewhere. Still watching, still transmitting to someone. I stared at my phone until the screen went dark and my face stared back. I never got another text. I changed my number. I stopped booking cabins. What still sits with me isn't the video. It's his message in the morning that first day. How'd you sleep? Bed okay? The way it sounds different now. Like a question he already knew the answer to.